TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey, gang, welcome in. It is Wednesday, I guess now, right? It is October the 2nd. We've got one series of Major League playoff games completed, and I would say there was a little bit of surprise here in some of these games, and that's going to create some issues for the series going forward. So let's talk about it a little bit. So one of the things I think when you break these games down and kind of look at them, we had some issues where just offenses, and this is the way baseball works in the playoffs. The batters get tight. The pressure situations, stuff happens, and pitchers dominate. And I'm looking at box scores here where we had one team get double-digit hits yesterday, and it was a surprising team in the Detroit Tigers. So. The Detroit doesn't do well against left-handed pitching, and they did pretty good yesterday. So it's pretty interesting how some of this stuff breaks out. So everybody, if you haven't heard, most people already know, especially in these lanes, when you lose game one of the wild card series, there's only been two teams in 16 tries that have gone forward to win the series. So they're 2-16 in that regard. The team that won game one is 14-16 and 14-2 in the series. So if you have bet the series on any of these teams that have lost, you're not looking too good. And I'm in that boat with Houston, so we'll see what happens. I don't really think Houston is in a bad spot yet. I mean, I get it; their backs against the wall. So we'll talk about that game in a second. But they're going to be big favorites today, and tomorrow they'll be bigger favorites. So if they were to live up to the favorite billing, then they win both games and they move on. But we'll see. Yesterday's game with the Tigers and the and I was going to mention one other thing too. It was interesting to see, because I've been a big proponent this year of talking about how teams score runs, and if you don't hit home runs, you don't score runs. I mean, that's the way baseball is anymore. So the xFIP and the FIP numbers that pitchers have are critically important, because those numbers measure how a pitcher does in those categories only: strikeouts, walks, and home runs. And those three categories then are called the three true outcomes of baseball. So if you have a pitcher that can dominate in that category, you got a good likelihood to win these games. And yesterday is kind of an interesting, because in the Detroit-Houston game, of course, there was only 4 runs, but it was 3-1, 4 runs. There was no home runs hit, none, 0. And Detroit did score all 3 of their runs in the second inning. So and then nobody scored that whole game. The Royals and the Orioles, they only got 5 hits each. Burns pitched is like crazy. I mean, he threw into the 8th inning, or into the 9th inning, I think. What was his number? He threw. I just want to pull it up just to make sure. Like he threw 8 innings, so he made it into the 9th inning when they took him out. He gave up 1 run, and he couldn't win. I mean, it's unbelievable. I talk about the Royals and, that they had a pitching edge coming into this series. And when you can win games 1-0, you don't need an offense much. And they're the worst offense in the playoffs. They're the worst offense going. So it's kind of weird in my mind at how that game transpired, because if you would have said to me before the game started, hey, the Royals are going to score 1 run, who do you want? Of course, I would have said Baltimore, and that wouldn't have been right. So even when you know the outcome, sometimes it's goofy the way baseball works. So that was an interesting game, and then the Mets and the Brewers played a slugfest, so to speak. They scored 12 runs. Of course, they only got 15 hits, but they scored 12 runs. And again, no home runs. There didn't any home runs. So in the first 3 games, there was no home runs, and in the nightcap, there's the Padres hit 2 home runs, and the Braves didn't hit any home runs, and they didn't score any runs, and that's kind of normal. That's kind of how baseball works. The Padres had 5 hits, the Braves had 7. The Braves had no home runs. They had no runs. And that's the way baseball is. And then the Padres had 5 hits, had 2 home runs. They scored 4. So if you can hit the ball out of the yard, generally you're going to win these games. So, but when you match up against, quote, the best pitchers in baseball, it's kind of hard to do that, right? And these playoff games should show the best pitchers in baseball. And yesterday the Tigers and the Astros had 2 really good pitchers, with Valdez and Skubal. Those guys were great. And then the Royals had 2 great, and the Orioles game was great pitching with Reagans and Burns. I mean, that was just unbelievable. And then you got the Mets and the Brewers, and you just don't have pitching in that series. I think you're going to see pitching maybe today, at least on the Mets side, but you just don't have the same caliber of pitching from those 2 teams. And then the Braves are just stuck. They didn't get Sale, and they went to Smith Shawver, and he's 2 innings in, and it's 3-0. And then King goes out and strikes out. How many did he get? I think he had 12 strikeouts, right? So it's, playoff baseball is just a different game. Yeah, he's 7 innings, 12 strikeouts, 5 hits, no runs, no walks. I mean, that's the way baseball is. If you've got the guy on the hill, then you've got the guy on the hill. So what do we learn from yesterday that maybe we can carry over today? And here I am talking pitching, right? So let's just in a overall synopsis look at some of these pitchers you got today. So Detroit is going to do a opener. Holton is going to pitch. Now, in looking back at his starts, he's done this several times. He's actually done this. He's done it 9 times. In those 9 times, the Detroit Tigers are 3-6, so that's not good. But he's a good pitcher, so it's kind of a weird spot. They're 3-6. He's got a xFIP number 285, and remember that's the number we're talking about, xFIP and FIP numbers, right? Because that's your 3 true outcomes. 285, and Hunter Brown's a 298. So these teams aren't going to score much. But you got to remember, Holton's not going to be in the game more than 1 inning or 2. That's been his MO for that. And then Reese Olson comes in, and we'll pull up Reese Olson in just a second, because I wasn't sure until I just found out a few minutes ago who's going to pitch after him. And back before Reese Olson went on the injured list, I might have supported Reese Olson, but I can't support him now. So we'll talk about this game a little bit more. But then you have Lugo, who's a 3.47. Okay, not quite the same as what you had with Brown and Holton, but 3.47. It's still top 25% of all baseball. And Eflin, who's a 4.21, is an average number. So you got an edge with the Royals pitching again. We talked about an edge there throughout the series, and you got a big edge there today. And then you have Minaya and Montas, and everybody that I'm hearing about is down on Montas, but Montas has a 3.0 in his last 30 days of xFIP. So he's been really good. And not only has he been really good, he's been better than Minaya. Minaya's 3.94. So he's an average number, and Montas is much better than that. And then lastly, you have probably the game of the day, as far as I'm concerned. Fried's going against Musgrove, two really good pitchers. Fried's a 2.55, and Musgrove's a 2.88 These are in the last 30 days. So kind of gives you a good scale of, we got good pitchers again. There's not really anybody out there. Now, I will say this. xFIP is different than FIP. So xFIP is a predictive number based on what the metric or what their actual numbers show. So over the next, say, start or two, this is where they should be. And if you just look at FIP numbers, which are past performance numbers, you got Montas at a 5.39 FIP number, and that's not good at all. That's the worst one on the board. And the reason it's that way is because he's a 4.4 walk guy per 9 innings, which is in the worst 25% of baseball. And he gives up 2.59 home runs, which is, again, in the worst 25% of baseball. So when we go to handicap these games, those two numbers need to stand out to you, because those are bad. That's not good. But his xFIP predictive number is pretty good. All right, so let's look at. I wanted to start this off by getting to where we're looking at the series prices now. So Baltimore yesterday, the series price for them, I think it was like minus 170. That they were the favorite, minus 170. Well, they lost the first game, and we just talked about how teams that lose the first game of this series that generally don't win these things. Not generally, almost always they don't win these things. And so now the favorite is Kansas City in the series, and Kansas City is minus 220 or 210, depending on which site you're looking at or wherever you're going. And then that puts Baltimore in the plus 184, plus 190 range on the series price. So funny how things really flip, right? Minus 170 is now plus 180, plus 184. And then today's line in that regard is Baltimore minus 180 or minus 171. I'm looking at Bookmaker and Circa here. So if you split them, it's like minus 175 for Baltimore. So I think that I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Baltimore is minus 145. Let me make sure I got the right ones here. Yeah, that was Baltimore, and then Baltimore up here. They're minus 145. I'm sorry, I was looking at the Houston game. So at minus 145 as a favorite today to win the game, because obviously it's at home. Now, when in baseball and on the money line, you can count 20 cents as the home favorite number. So every team, so if it's 100 even, 20 cents is going to go to the home team. So theoretically, it'll be minus 120 plus 110 then, just because it's the home field. And it's not necessarily just the home field, it's the crowd, it's the environment, but more importantly, it's the last at bat in the ninth inning. So they get that extra edge that way. But so at minus 145, they're still the favorite over Lugo, and we'll get into the handicap on that. But what I find interesting is why would you pay and I guess it's, you need to know who pitches tomorrow, right? So if I'm looking that far ahead, and I don't know if I've got, I don't have that, and they may change these things up, but I can look at, go over here, not that one, go over here, and we're gonna do that. We're gonna look at Baltimore tomorrow and say who would be the pitcher for Baltimore tomorrow if they have already used their two best pitchers. It's going to be Dean Kramer, I guarantee it. So they don't have a listed pitcher even in roster resource, but that's who it'll be. It'll be Dean Kramer, and he'll go until he gets in trouble, and then they'll put in their next best guy. Whoever that may be. It may be Cade Povich. It may be whoever. I mean, whoever they've got, they're that's how that would work. And then Baltimore would throw Michael Wacha. Kansas City would throw Michael Wacha. So when you're looking at a game 3 closeout matchup, that's what you would have. Again, pitching matchup, starting pitchers, Royals would be the team that would be the better pitchers. So when you think about this game, and you're betting on this game, there's a couple things you got to think about. One, do I really? So can the Orioles beat the Royals 2 times in a row? The answer to the question is yes. Any team can beat any team 2 times in a row, but when you have a deficit on the mound, it makes it more difficult. So I think that's kind of a 50-50 thing. And secondly, do you trust the Royals offense? Well, you don't know, almost don't have to trust them anymore because they won the first game 1-0. And they just got to scratch off one more win in the next 2. They got to win 1 out of the next 2 games. And they're not facing guys that are going to go dominate them. Eflin's not going to go dominate them. He might get them out, but he's not going to go out and strike them all out. And the same with Kramer. So I think that this is one of those spots where you certainly don't want to be betting on the series price for Baltimore and pick that up. And secondly, you've got free money to play with the Royals. They won game 1. You don't want to bet them in the series price because now the series price is too high. That number again for the series was, now it's 220, 210. So, just say it's 215. You don't want to pay 215. What you want to do is you want to play these games individually as dogs. I bet Lugo today. I got Lugo plus 135. He's the better pitcher. And hopefully, I bet yesterday, that's the only game I didn't bet it that way. So I didn't bet the series either for Baltimore. So I bet Baltimore yesterday with Burns lost at minus 145. So if I can win with Lugo today, then I'm down, 10 cents basically in this series with the same, and then we move on and, kind of wash out this series. And then we go to the next one. So the idea with this particular game is no way do you want to bet the series price basically on either side, because this is sort of a toss-up series anyway, the way we handicapped it yesterday. And then today, after you have one win already under your belt for Kansas City, and you're getting Kansas City as a dog, it's free money. And what I mean by free money is they're the favorite to win the series. So you can bet them as a dog today and bet them as a dog tomorrow, and they're favored by minus 220 today, 215. They won't necessarily be that way tomorrow. The lines should match tomorrow. If there is a game 3 and Baltimore does win today, then there would be theoretically the money line and the series price should be the same, because it's a 1-game series. So When I handicap this game, what I'm looking at, let me pull up my numbers for a second. I already know that I'm at a deficit. I'm at a big deficit on offense with Kansas City, just am. But Baltimore had started hitting, and they didn't hit Reagan's yesterday. Lugo is in that spot where he's not a big strikeout guy. He's an average strikeout guy. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't put people on, and he doesn't give up home runs. And that's how we look at this, right? If you don't give up home runs, you're in the game. And if he can keep the ball in the yard, they're good. And his whip rate's a 0.9. So he doesn't get more than one guy on base per inning. So it's going to be tough for Baltimore. And you watched him yesterday. I don't know how many times Kowser came up and these guys were swinging, especially Kowser. That's the guy I can remember off the top of my head. Watching him swing, very loopy in the swing and just pop up city to center field. That's what he did. Pop up. Rutschman seems to have a pop up swing right now. So, I don't know what it's going to take to get Baltimore's offense going and get their swings right. But think about this. If you're betting on a team to win, then you want your batters, when they're up there at the plate, to give you a professional at-bat. So what does that mean? That means that ideally, unless that pitch is center cut, you don't want them to hit the first pitch. You want them to get a look at the first pitch, get a feel for things, get comfortable at the plate a little bit. Don't be jumpy. And then you want them to have quality takes, meaning that if the ball is close, they follow it in and they react to it in a way that it's quality take because it moved off the plate and they didn't swing at it. Because if they're swinging at balls that can't barrel up or hit in the middle of the bat or hit in the big fat part of the bat, then they're not going to make solid, hard contact. So you want to take those pitches. If the guys are swinging at those pitches and they hit them and they become fair balls, they're just little dribblers somewhere, or they're little loopy foul balls and stuff that they're caught for outs. So they're not quality at-bats. And then you want to see how long do they stay in an at-bat, meaning that when they get two strikes, are they fouling stuff off? Are they making the pitcher work? What kind of a quality at-bat are they having? Because, look, when I watched Baltimore yesterday, I didn't see a lot of quality at-bats. I saw a lot of just bing, bing, bing out, bing, bing, bing out, bing, bing, bing out, just not quality at-bats. And it's like the Astros started giving you quality at-bats when Skubal wasn't in the game. And sometimes a pitcher can dictate that to you. But the reality is you got to make guys work. You got to make pitchers make quality pitches, because what the hitter needs is the mistake. And if they can hit the mistake, that's where they're going to be productive. They're not going to hit the pitcher's pitch to get the result that the hitter wants. If they hit the pitcher's pitch, the pitcher's going to get what he wants, and it's going to be an out. Some kind of rolled over ground ball somewhere, or some kind of broken bat, looper pop-up thing, or a foul ball, or whatever. That's what pitchers do. And when you're a batter and you're on offense and you can string a lot of these together, watch the Mets. When the Mets are trying to score, and I mean this in all seriousness, because they're just the weirdest team. They'll go score 6 runs in an inning. Well, how do they do that? Well, they go do that by every single one of those 6 guys, 10 guys, or whoever's in the lineup. They go give you a quality major league professional at bat, every single one of them. And then all of a sudden, it's hard to stop that. Well, watch the games today and think to yourself, are these batters really giving me these quality at-bats, right? And I think that you're going to find that the ones that do are the ones that at least give you the like that Mets in Braves game 1 that was going into who was going to win and make it to the playoffs and all that stuff, the doubleheader. Both teams are giving you quality at bats. It was great. It was fun to watch. That's when baseball is great. It's just when one team sort of lays down or doesn't have the discipline or whatever to do it. And, we're at that stage in these playoffs where developmentally those offenses need to figure that part out so that carries over to the next series and the next series, or hopefully moving them on because the team's waiting on them. They're going to theoretically are teams that'll give you those quality at-bats. That's why they're there. That's why they're the best teams that were given division wins and buys and all of that stuff. Some of them have really great pitching, but most of it's all offense. So anyway, when I look at this game and I'm looking at Eflin and I'm looking at Lugo, the quality of contact for Lugo is better than the quality of contact for Eflin, meaning that the soft ground balls, Lugo's hard hit rate's 24%, his best 25% baseball. Eflin is 30, almost 31, which puts him in the middle. But and then they're both of them the WPAs in the top 25% of baseball, but Lugo's is better. So what that means is Lugo's more apt to throw the pitcher's pitch to get the outs, not make mistakes, than he is to make mistakes. Same with Eflin, but Lugo's going to do it on a more regular basis. Hence, then, his home run rate, which is very low, it's .33. It's in the top 25% of baseball. And his walk rate is great, so he doesn't put guys on. He makes people earn it. So that means it's going to be very difficult for Baltimore. On the other side, Eflin is not that he's bad. He's just more average that way than Lugo is. So he's going to go, and this is the same problem we had yesterday in this very same matchup. That the issue yesterday is Burns is very, very good, and so was Reagan's. But the reality is that the offense for Baltimore is better than the offense for Kansas City. But it wasn't yesterday, so that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing today. But offense is I don't want to say contagious, it's not the right word. Offense is one of these things that's bred amongst what it's doing, meaning that if it's poor, typically the guys go up and follow suit and do poor things. If it's good, they go up and batter after batter does good things. Watch the guy that surprised me yesterday was Ramon Urias for Baltimore. I thought he gave him pretty good at-bats. So we'll see how Baltimore does today in this matchup. Because ultimately, if we're like flipping coins, and we kind of aren't, but if you're flipping coins, this is one of those spots where I think the odds tell you to go bet on Kansas City. And Lugo's the better pitcher. Can he lose this game? Certainly can. If you look at him situationally, He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's an over 4 WAR guy, and there's only a couple guys in the 6s and a couple guys in the 5s. So he's a top 15 pitcher in all of baseball, Lugo. And he's made 33 starts. In those 33 starts, he's 17-16. That tells you a lot. But so was Reagan's yesterday. He was a middle of the road guy. I don't want to say they were lucky because they got quality pitching and did what they needed to do, and Baltimore didn't score. And they scored once, and that's all it took. And in this game, Eflin has pitched 28 times, and they've won 17 of those. So 17-11. So it kind of, I'm more apt to tell you that Eflin's, got that gene in him that doesn't allow them to lose, and he's pitched in bigger games than Lugo has ever pitched in. So I think there's some advantage to that. But the other thing that I was looking at here, just to give you a kind of an insight, both pitchers, very last time they pitched, were below what they normally do. So that tells me both pitchers should pitch better, especially Eflin. Eflin was a game score 35 the last time out, and when he had a game score 38 the last time, he threw a 61. So, that's what aces do. They throw big games. And Lugo threw a 50. That's an average score, but his score for the season's a 58. So it's well below his normal. So I'm expecting both pitchers to pitch pretty well today. So my score on the game, my score predictor comes out and it says Kansas City 4 and Baltimore 3, which gives you a total of 7. And I think that's what the total is. So I don't have a good feeling for the total in terms of betting it under. I would think that would be the right way to go, more under than over because of the pressure and because of the quality of pitchers. But neither one are dominant strikeout guys. So when you're betting an under, you sort of want that. Otherwise, you're totally dependent upon these guys hitting the ball to fielders, and I don't want to be that way because look what happened to the Mets in the Brewers game yesterday. Balls were put in play, but they all went through for hits. A lot of them did anyway. So I think that's how you handle that game. I think you play Lugo plus 135 in the Houston game. Now I bet. So this changes a lot of dynamics when you bet a series price. I bet the Houston price in the series yesterday at minus 175. So I'm in trouble in that series that way. And if you then go back and you look at this series and that series price is now Detroit minus 175. And remember what it was for Kansas City, right? It was minus 220. So that's telling you that the market thinks that, you gotta honor. They only got to win one out of the next two. So you're going to give them, favorite status, and they are minus 170 or 180, depending on where you're betting. We'll just call it 175. And then you can bet the other side of that, which would be 160 or 150. So let's say 155. So do you really want to go bet that series price at the 2 wins out of 16 tries for those teams? I'm not sure that's what you want to do. So it makes this one a little more difficult if you bet that way before. If you bet Detroit yesterday and you bet them with Scooble, I think then that frees you up to do other things in this game in terms of how you want to bet this game. I bet the game yesterday, Detroit and Houston under 23.5 hits plus runs plus errors, and that came in. I like those bets in these series bets as opposed to totals. So I would do that again today. The number was Detroit, Houston under 25 hits and runs plus errors, minus 115, and bet that. I mean, that's what I've got on my ticket, I bet. So in the first 2 games, I bet Lugo, and I'm going to bet Detroit, Houston under 25 hits plus runs plus errors. Now, the reason I don't want to bet on Houston is because they're a big favorite again. I don't want to bet the big favorite a second time. This line opened 165. Bookmakers now 193. Circus 171. So that's 20 cents difference. So we'll just say 180. I don't think I want to go spend the 180 here. Now Holton is a relief pitcher. But what I don't think people really realize about Holton is, obviously he's left-handed, so people kind of know that. But he's got a 2.85 xFIP, 2.60 Sierra, 2.46 FIP number. He doesn't give up home runs. He doesn't walk guys. He's not a huge strikeout guy, but he's 9 per 9 innings. His hard hit rate's only 17%. He's only going to be out there for 1 or 2 innings. That's his MO when he's a starter. The problem that I have is not that here is when they put in Reese Olson. So it's supposed to go Holton and then Reese Olson. Now, if Reese Olson gets bombed, then obviously he's not going to stay out there long, and they're going to have to come up with, maybe they throw Montero or somebody, I don't know, just to give him some innings, something like that. But let's move over here because I didn't do this, and we're going to grab Reese Olson for a second because he's a way different pitcher today than he was when he went to come on. Why are we getting where are we at here? This should have been lined up for me. We'll just do it this way. I'm working with Fangraph's website right this second. So if I go here and we go to last 30 days, and we get to, I don't care about that, qualified pitching. I want starting pitching, and I want Tigers. So we pull this up. So Reese Olson advanced. There he is. He is in a spot here where he has thrown how many innings? Reese Olson. So he's thrown 3 games in the last 30 days. He's thrown 9.1 innings. That's not very many, and that's not a lot to go off of. That really just really isn't. So when you then look at kind of his metrics in there, his home run rate's 1, so it's an average home run rate. His walk rate's 1.93, which is an average walk rate. He's got a 3.82, 3.77 xFIP and Sierra numbers. Those are average numbers, but they're almost top 25%. Where he's, let's see, go to batted balls. Reese Olson's 32.1% hard hit rate. So that tells you that it's a little high. 30, I think it's 34 gets you to the worst 25% of baseball. So he's kind of in that middle. But Reese Olson is a minus 0.22 WPA. Okay, WPA. Winning percent added. And remember, you want these to be positive numbers. And when you're looking at, for example, Holton, if I can get back to that screen, he's a 1.34 in the same time frame. So what that means is you take all the good things that he's doing pitch-wise, putting the ball in the right location, getting outs, all the positive plus pitches, winning percent you're adding to because of your pitch quality goes in one column. And then all the negative stuff goes in another one. And then you subtract the 2 at the bottom, and that difference becomes the WPA number, kind of like EPA in football. But this is WPA, winning percent added. He is making, Holton, who's starting, is making quality pitches, getting quality outs, even though he doesn't have the best stuff in the world. He's putting in the right locations. Guys are hitting the ball out, making outs, right? And when Olson comes in the game, he throws more mistake pitches than he does quality pitches. Big edge change. So changes the dynamic of this game. And when Brown is on the mound, you don't have that at all. He's a positive too. So he's not as high as Holton is, but he's a positive. So what it tells you is that, Brown can pitch 6 innings, 7 innings. And he can be out there for all that time making quality pitches You take Holton out of the game, and then here comes Olsen, and he makes mistakes. That frees up all the batters for Houston, and that makes this game favorable in the Houston side. So I think when you think about, I was going to pull up Olsen for a second and look at his last couple of starts to show you that prior to the injury, prior to going on the disabled list, he was doing really good, and we need to get there. Fangraphs, sometimes when you have 3 or 4 pages of Fangraphs open, it freezes up your computer and stuff, which is kind of what I'm doing here at this moment. If I can get one, I could have just done it from here. That would have been a lot easier. Let's go close that, and then that should free this up and get to Tigers, and we'll get to Olsen. Now we're moving right along here. So we go there, and so he made a start on 9/16, and then he made a start 9/21, 9/26. His first start he came out was a 28, game score 28. He threw 2 innings, gave up 4 runs. The next time he came out and pitched was the 21st of September. He threw 3 innings, gave up 1 run, game score 53. The next time he came out, he threw 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. So you're going to expect him to give up some runs, whether it's 1, 2, 3. He's going to give them up. And if Brown is on the other side and he's not giving up anything, I think this is where, I think Houston's got the edge in this game. Let me just put it that way. So if we then go and we look at this and we start looking at then Hunter Brown, and we go in this spot, Hunter Brown, 2.98 xFIP, 3.36 Sierra, 2.99 FIP. So great. All top 25% of baseball, 9.39 strikeout rates, walk rates, home run rates, all in the average number. Batting average against, whip rates, all in that same category. He's got quality stuff. He throws a 103 pitching plus number, stuff's a 101. Hard hit rate's only 19%. Very good. All of that's very good. So he's been dominant, good, since like the first, say, 6 starts. He's been really good. So if I look at this from another level, and he's a SOPS plus 72. So he's 28% better than an average pitcher over the last 28 days. The difference, though, that I can see in this is you got a lefty in Holton. He's pretty good, but and we said this yesterday, Scuba was pitching for Detroit, and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, if not the best pitcher in baseball, left-handed. But the Astros are 47% better against a left-handed pitcher than an average baseball team. So then you bring in the Reese Olson side. So I think that lineup construction is going to matter for Houston a little bit, how they do stuff. And I saw, that Hayward's going to be playing in this game, and they're sitting some of the other. So the veteran guys are out there. And we'll see. Singleton's not playing in this one, so we'll see how this kind of matches up for them. But the way I think you got to look at this is bet this. In my case, I've got a Houston series price on the line. So there's so say you bet Kansas City, not Kansas. You bet Detroit yesterday. Well, do you want to bet them again today? I think you leave it alone today. And I mean, it's almost free money if they win, but I don't think they have as reasonable a chance to win today as they did yesterday, because they have the best pitcher in baseball going for them yesterday. But if you bet Detroit yesterday, one of the things you could do is you could bet the series price on Houston today. And I know it's 2 out of 416, But my opinion is they're a big favorite today, and tomorrow they'll be an even bigger favorite because Casey Mize is going to pitch for them tomorrow, and he's been getting killed. He's one of the only negative WAR starting pitchers even on the rosters for these teams. And if he pitches tomorrow and he faces Kikuchi, he's going to be they're going to be minus 200 tomorrow. So if you bet, if they win today's game, obviously they're going to be minus 200 to win tomorrow. Theoretically, they should win the series. So my opinion would be is the best way to bet this game, if you bet Detroit yesterday, is to bet the series price on Houston today. I know that sounds ridiculous, but money-wise and how you're controlling your bankroll and what you're getting value for, that's how you do it. Because I don't think you're going to get value by betting on Detroit today. I mean, you could. I mean, they're going to be an underdog, but I think if you bet it the other way, because you got a favorite in Houston today, and they're going to be 200 favorite tomorrow. They should win both games, and they're at home. I think you're going to get pretty good value that way. You're plus one something. What did we say it was? 150. There we go. Yeah, it's 150. So if you're getting 150 on them today, that's similar to like if you were going to bet Holton today. Holton, if you're minus 175, that's going to make it 165, 160. You'd be plus 160, 155, wherever you're at. And I would rather have and then you have a bet already made for tomorrow. I mean, you're already in, and you're beating the minus 210 number, or 200, or whatever it is going to be for Kikuchi tomorrow. So anyway, that's what I would do there. I do like Detroit, Houston, like I said, under 25. Hits plus runs plus errors. I think that, both pitchers, especially while Holton's in the game, is going to be tough to get hits off of. I also think that, mix and match out of their bullpen after Olsen is going to. So, I think where you're at is going to be is you're going to see Houston win this game, and I think there's not going to be quite that many, hits, runs, and errors. So anyway, maybe this is a 3-1 game, or 3-0 game, something like that. So then we go to the Mets series and the Brewers series. Now, what's interesting here is I bet the Mets in the series yesterday at plus 115. I think the Mets are going to win today. But I'm not going to bet it personally that way. I'm not going to try to double dip. I've already got the bet out there. I don't need to necessarily double dip there, but it is kind of free money. And what I mean by free money is if you bet 115 today, or you got 115 out there already, if you were to bet at 115 and they're plus money today, maybe it's not so much that way anymore. 115, they're still plus 105 or so. So if you bet them again today at plus 105 and lose, but then they win tomorrow, then win the series, you come out basically what you had today, meaning that you got plus 115 in writing. If they lose, right, then you're minus 100, and if they win tomorrow, then you're at whatever, it's going to be plus money again. So we'll just say it's 105, what it is today. And you got 105, so you're plus 105, and then the minus 100, so you're plus 5. And then you win the series at 115, you're plus 210 on the series. Or you throw in another bet, and you throw it in on you run it with Mania today. I mean, I don't think there's a problem there. The way I look at this game is Mania. So I've been saying this forever, and I don't know. The reason the Mets have made big runs is Sean Mania and David Peterson. Period. Sean Mania has made 32 starts. The Mets in his starts are 23-9. They don't lose. So I don't expect them to lose this game either. And what's really good for the Mets and Manaea in this game is the last time Sean Manaea pitched, it was against this same Milwaukee Brewers team, and he was terrible, got bombed. So ideally, the way this works in the regular season is when you pitch back-to-back against the same team that you just faced, the reverse of what happened previous happens this time, meaning that he threw a game score 21. His average game score for the season is a 56. So for these two games to get to a 56 average game score, he needs to throw in the 80s today. Well, maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I expect it to be a really good game for him. It's certainly not going to be another 21. It's going to be more towards that 60 or above type number. And I think that because of that, that puts him in the driver's seat, and especially with your 23-9. The Milwaukee Brewers are a team that hits right-handed pitching and not left-handed pitching, and this is where you go. You got another lefty on the mound. So this all suits well for the Mets. Actually, I'm talking myself into making this bet. So I think that this is where you want to go. You want to, you can only look to the Mets. Now, the game, if the game were to happen and they lose this game, the game tomorrow, I'm pretty sure is going to be wide open. And what I mean by wide open is, let me get to that other screen for a second, where I have to tell you who the pitchers are. The pitcher matchup for tomorrow, theoretically, I think is Quintana for the Mets. I don't know that it's. That's what I've seen, but I would throw Peterson. But maybe he can't go because of the last time he started or something. But that's what I would do. I would throw. Where are they? David Peterson. They are. He threw on Sunday the 29th. So 1, 2, 3. That's only on 4 days rest. So maybe he can't go. So they would have to throw Quintana, and then the Brewers on the other side, because they would throw their young kid. What's his name? Tobias Myers. That's who they would throw. So I think that's a better matchup for Milwaukee. So we'll see. I would like, obviously, the Mets to win this game, and then that gets you your series price in on the Mets. You don't have to worry about tomorrow, and you move it forward. So I like it. And when I'm looking at numbers and talking about this game, it's interesting. If I go here, there we go. So Sean Manaea in his last 28 days is a 69 SOPS plus, 31% better than average pitcher. And the worst pitcher on the board today in SOPS plus is Frankie Montas. Worst pitcher of all the pitchers. He's a 124. So that means he's 24% worse than an average pitcher in the last 28 days. That bodes well for New York. What it does, though, is it's going to say, hey, if he's not doing good, they're going to jerk him out of there. It's just like what they did yesterday, right? They weren't feeling good with Peralta, so they took him out after, what was it, 3 innings? I don't even know if he made it 3 innings. And then piecemealed their bullpen together. That's their strength on pitching, is their bullpen. So if Montas can't get it, they'll be doing the same thing. But I think, if you're telling me Severino can beat this team, Manaea is better than Severino, and I think Severino or Manaea is the right side here, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I just think that's the way to go. And then in the last series, the last game, We're talking Padres again against the Braves, and I think this is a great pitching matchup. And I think you should be looking at Atlanta, San Diego under. Now I did it under runs plus hits plus errors, under 23.5. I was really excited because I bet this series price with the Padres yesterday at minus 180. So I'm not going to go back in there and try to figure out, try to look at this game. It's a smaller spread in terms that it's not, if I can pull it up, it's not, like minus 150 or something for the Padres. It's minus 113, 112, 114. So, it's less than 115. So you can take a small swing if you wanted to, but that's how you save your money and make your profits. Musgrove is really good. Don't get me wrong. Musgrove is good. I liked what he's done, especially since he's come. So it's been tale of two things here, right? We talked about Reese Olson coming back off of the injured list, and he's not been doing the greatest in the world. He hasn't even pitched more than 4 innings. And you got Musgrove, who came off the injured list, and he's been lights out. Lights out. He's an ace, right? I mean, he's pitching to a point in which, let me pull up his number. He's pitching to a point where his number is a game score 64 over the last 7 starts. I mean, that's just like top tier baseball. Now, having said that, in the last 7 starts, Max Fried is a game score 63. Okay, so these should be 2 big pitchers going at it today. Both of them are in the top 25% of all the metrics. We've been talking about metrics, XFIP, FIP, all that stuff. Top 25, but both of them are in the top 25 on strikeouts. Both of them are in the top 25% not walking guys. So this is going to be really hard on these offenses. It just is. The biggest difference I thought this game had was, we talked about how a pitcher coming off a bad start is going to probably have a good start. Well, it works opposite of that. So a pitcher coming off a big start usually is going to have a bad start. He's usually not going to throw a great big score again. So the last time Max Fried threw, he threw a game score 91. Big score. Big performance. Before that, he threw a 64 and a 64. He is regression ripe city, man. Over his last 3 starts, he's a game score 73. He's not going to keep that up. If you think he's going to throw the greatest game ever, it's not going to happen today. Now, I will say that every time, now I shouldn't say every time because it's not easy to throw a game score 90. It just isn't. He's done it 3 times this season. Every time he's done it, he's at least thrown a game score 60 off of it. So I think he's going to pitch good, and not only good, I think he's going to pitch great. He just won't be that good. So I think you're going to have one of those 2-1, 3-2 kind of games. And the way I see it is let the San Diego series price run that I bet, and then play this game under the 23.5 runs plus hits plus errors, and see if you can go from there. So those are my thoughts. I think that's how I would look at these games. Nobody's asked me any questions today, so I don't know if everybody agrees or doesn't agree or had any questions or where we are. But so give you a second if you had one, just type it in. But I think that the reality comes into, I've got 3 bets, and in talking through this, I might make a 4th bet because I'm probably going to go bet the Mets. But I bet Lugo plus 135 today. I bet Atlanta, San Diego under 23.5 hits plus runs plus errors. And I bet under 25 with Detroit, Houston, hits plus runs plus errors. All right, guys, we will see you later. Let's have a big day today. Let's get some more wins. And hopefully we can get that Mets series and San Diego series, which then would go and I still got to get the Houston series, but if we get the Mets and San Diego to win their games today, That'll put 2 more wins on what I gave out yesterday, which would make 4-1. And then pending Houston, if Houston has to go 3 games if they win today. And then we can knock down hopefully these other ones and have a big playoffs here. So, guys, I will talk to you tomorrow. I will update the Twitter. I'm not sure what times these games are going to start tomorrow, because it's all pending on who's playing and when and what games are still going. So see how all that plays out. But let's have some fun here and enjoy some of this baseball and make some money while we're doing it. All right, guys, I will talk to you tomorrow. I just don't know what time yet. And then we'll go from there. Have a great day.